What's up, guys? This is Steve with the MMA Minute. And you know what? The 2022 year is over officially. No more UFC fights for 3 weeks now. So we're going on a bit of a break, but we need to bring more content. So as we go into 2023, these are my dream fights. I got 5 2023 UFC dream fights that I want to see in this upcoming year. Let me know what you guys think in the comments, and we're going to just get right into it here. So first up, Alex Pereira. We all know this guy. He had an insane 2022 run. His UFC career, although short, has been incredible, one of the best of all time. So it makes sense, in the 2023 year, who do we want to see Alex Pereira really go up against? Obviously, Israel Adesanya going to get a rematch there. But guys, at the 185 division, we've seen this. This dude is an absolute monster for the division. Israel Adesanya is huge for the division. When you show these guys next to each other, Pereira versus Izzy, Pereira towers over him. So what happens next? Maybe Alex Pereira, if he beats Israel Adesanya again, which is very doable, he could potentially go up to 205 and try to become a double champ because, again, he is massive for 185. Easily could go up to 205. And the fight that we want to see, it's Yuri Prohaska. That's the dream fight to make in 2023. Now, I know this is not necessarily going to happen because Yuri, with the shoulder injury, might be out for 12 months or so. That's going to carry into 2023 end of the year. So things would definitely need to go a little crazy for this fight to happen because it would have to happen with the belt on the line. And Yuri's probably not going to get that back that quickly for then Alex to challenge him for the belt. So while there's like maybe a 10% chance this actually happens, this is a massive fight. 2 strikers with insane power. That's the fight that I want to see. Alex Pereira versus Yuri Prohaska. That's dream matchup number 1. Next up, Conor McGregor. I know it's a sensitive topic at this point. Where does Conor McGregor belong? Do people even really care about this guy? Personally, I do not, but we have to be honest with ourselves. The UFC is a better place when Conor McGregor is fighting. And we've seen the pictures of this guy ballooned up to like 200 pounds, putting on a ton of muscle. There's no way he's going back down to 155. So the fight that I want to see, and I've been calling for this fight for a long time, it's Jorge Masvidal versus Conor McGregor. What you do with this is you put the BMF belt on the line. I've been saying this for years. Jorge Masvidal skyrocketed in popularity after knocking out Darren Till, after the Ben Askren knockout. Then they literally created a super event for Jorge Masvidal. They created the BMF belt, the baddest motherfucker on the planet. They put it on the line. Jorge Masvidal won that, has never defended it. That belt I know is made up, but they've just never mentioned it since that fight. And I think the perfect thing to do here is put Conor versus Masvidal for the BMF belt. You do that. 2 guys past their primes, 100%. Neither of these guys is going to win a belt. I know people are saying Masvidal might go in there and get a shot against Leon. I hope they don't make that fight. But Conor versus Masvidal, 2 boxers, 2 strikers. We're not worried about the ground game. That is just pure entertainment, and it makes sense to me. And that's a fight I want to see. Like I said, Conor in the UFC, it's a better organization when he's in there, when he's fighting. And when we're not worried about the title implications, just make it happen. Conor versus Jorge. I like it. Next up, Khamzat Chimaev. Probably top 3 most popular fighters right now. Everybody loves this guy. Everybody's talking about him never losing a fight, going up to 185, becoming a champ. The sky is the limit for this guy. Personally, and I know he's had the weight cut issues in the past, I'd like him to stay at 170. He has so much momentum in that division. He is a cheat code when he's able to make weight. He doesn't belong at 170. He clearly is a guy who belongs at 185, but if he's able to come down to 170 and make a home there, then I think this fight makes all the sense in the world, because this dude right here, Shavkat Rakhmonov, is about to have a massive 2023. He's going to be on the first card of the year in January, taking on Jeff Neal. And, he hasn't really had his breakout moment just yet. Last win out, I believe it was just against Neal Magny, goes out there, gets a dominant victory there. And I think he's going to go out there. He's going to beat Jeff Neal, who's a top 10 ranked guy right now. He's going to continue to climb the ladder. And this fight needs to happen. These are just two of the biggest prospects. At this point, they're not prospects. The hype checks out on both of them. They are 100% real. This fight needs to happen. People will absolutely lose their minds. At the 170-pound division, probably, man, I don't know how they're going to do this. I don't know how this fight would happen because we have so many contenders at 170. Chimaev is right there to fight for the belt. So maybe if Chimaev goes in there, wins the belt, they push Shavkat, and maybe at the end of the year in 2023, these two guys are going at it. But either way, if they're able to make this fight at some point, if it's not 2023, maybe in 2024, this is a massive fight. Islam Makhachev, maybe the baddest guy in the UFC right now. I think he's sitting at that number 2 pound-for-pound spot, only behind Alexander Volkanovski, and that's the fight they're going to make. They're going with Islam versus Volkanovski. Winner of that is the true number 1 pound-for-pound guy, and if I'm being honest, early prediction, I haven't done all the tape just yet, but going off of my head right now, you got to think Islam Makhachev most likely is going to win that fight. I don't love the move up for Volkanovski from 145 to 155. I think Islam is the best 155er. I think he has a chance to defend that belt for a very long time. And I think he's going to wipe the floor with Volkanovski. And then we're going to be looking at the other guys at 155 who deserve a title shot. And the fight that I really want to see is Arman Sarukian versus Islam, the rematch. First time around, you had Arman Sarukian come in, making his UFC debut on short notice, took on Islam Makhachev, gave him his toughest fight to date, outside of obviously that flash knockout that Islam has his only one loss to. But you can't tell me, after we just saw what Arman Sarukian did to Damir Ismagulov, that you don't want to see these two go head-to-head again for the second time. Arman's ground game is absolutely insane. The only way that you're going to have a chance against Islam is if you have an elite-level ground game, which we've clearly seen in their first fight. These two went back and forth. The scrambling is insane. I think Arman can hold his own on the ground, where he's actually able to, at some point, keep the fight standing, and that's not necessarily Islam's bread and butter. He wants to be on the ground. The striking has developed, no doubt about it. But so is Arman's. I think this is the dream matchup for 155. And in 2023, it's not out of the realm of possibility. Because Arman Sarukian, yes, he should have beat Gamrot. I had him winning that fight. If they did score that fight for him and he's coming off of a Gamrot and a Damir win, this guy is so close to getting that title shot. I kind of see them maybe pinning Beneil Dariush versus Arman. Next guy up could fight for the belt. Rafael Fiziev is also floating in there. So it gets a little close up top. But I think Arman is so right there with everyone that if he can get a title shot in 2023, this will probably be one of the most exciting fights, one of the most technical, fundamental fights that we're going to see in the entire UFC. So I'm game for it. And I think there is a real possibility that it can happen. And that brings us to our last fight here. So Aljamain Sterling just straight up does not get the credit he deserves. Everyone's just going to go back in time, talk about the Petr Yan illegal knee. Even in their second fight, in the rematch, Aljo, dominates early in the fight, and then Petr Yan takes over. It's a controversial split decision. Personally, I did have Aljamain Sterling winning that fight. But again, it's just no one's ever going to give this guy credit. And then he even goes out there against TJ Dillashaw, looks incredible. But TJ Dillashaw's shoulder pops out, and there's so many what-ifs with this guy. But I'm on his side. I believe in Aljamain Sterling now. I do think he is the best 135er on the planet. That could be debatable. There's a couple guys you can throw in there. I do still think Petr Yan deserves to be in that mix, even though he just lost to Sean O'Malley. But again, Aljamain Sterling, the king of 135, huge for this division. That's one thing that I noticed when he goes against a lot of these guys at 135. He towers over them. He puts on a ton of weight. He's jacked out of his mind. He easily goes up to 180 when he's not fighting. or cutting weight, I should say. So what I want to see is for the next fight, go up to 145. Take on Alexander Volkanovski, because what I'm seeing here is Volk is going to try to go up to 155, become a double champ there. I don't think it's going to work out. We have Aljamain Sterling, who might be going in there to face Triple C pretty soon. I think he can win that fight. So if he wins that fight, Volk loses to Islam Makhachev, Volk's going to have to come back down to 145, defend his belt, and I could see that being a super fight. I could see them doing that fight and giving Aljamain Sterling a chance to become double champ. And I think that's an awesome fight because, again, yes, Aljo somehow makes 135, but he could easily fight up to 145, and that ground game is as good as anyone's. As good as anyone's. And we've seen, Brian Ortega had some success, had some submissions locked in against Alexander Volkanovski. The defense obviously was there for Volk, but Aljo is just one of those guys who's going to continuously try to get you to the ground. And if he does, he will have his moments. He can win that fight. So that's a mega fight to me. Those are the 5 fights that I want to see. Those are my UFC Dream Fights in 2023. I'm Steve with the MMA Minute. Let me know in the comments if you guys would love to see these matchups, if there's any big matchups that I'm missing. And you know what? Let's just have a great year and let's keep the content coming because we got a 3-week dry spell here and we're going to need some UFC content. So this is for you guys. Let me know in the comments.